Oh, welcome back to the Matrix, and it's in the Matrix you are. The Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger daily market news analysis. What is up? What is up? How's everyone feeling out of 10? Make sure you guys are spamming that like button, hitting the share so other people can spam that like button. We got a call today. Not feeling the hottest right now. Feeling a little bit under the weather. But dedication continues. As of the time recording, Bitcoin sitting at, call it $112,000. And what we can see is we found, I would consider this a bit of a fake out here. Getting back on top of the 100 moving average. This is a big candle right here, in my opinion. So we went slightly below the 100 moving average. A lot of people would say, classify this as losing the 100 moving averages, but now we are back on top of it, which is a very good thing, and we only need to get back to 113,000 to be yet again in the most bullish posture for Bitcoin, which is really good, and that's what I anticipate is going to happen probably as early as tomorrow, to be honest with you. I'm still encouraged with Ethereum. Ethereum held a higher low again. I do think that the bottom is in. We talked about this. I'm not gonna like put my beard on it or anything like that, but I did talk about this being the early stages of Wyckoff accumulation with your preliminary support, selling climax, your secondary test in phase B, and the big question was: are we going to get the phase C LPS variation, or are we going to get the phase C spring variation? Either way, to me, we are rounding the corner. If we are getting the LPS version, that was it. Okay, that we're not going any lower. And the lowest that we got was, what was this? What was the lowest we wicked to? 107.3. So if that's the LPS variation, that was it. That's as low as we're going to get to. If we get the spring variation, it would look like 105. I don't think that that's what we're doing. It doesn't look like that. There's no indications of that. In fact, this looks pretty strong off of the bottom here. And I really like I said, this is a kind of a big deal. Like when you kind of go up below a big moving average, but then you find it again as support. We can see a full candle close on top of the 100 moving average. Very good sign. In the right direction for sure. The next thing is just getting above 113,000, getting a full body close on top of that would put us in right back in the most bullish posture. That would be confirmation of the LPS version, in my opinion. Either way, this idea that we're just going to go to 80K, 90K, any of that stuff, no. That would mean something entirely different is at play here, which I don't think is happening. So, Alex put out a tweet. Basically, he was talking about, this idea that everyone is expecting a red September, so perhaps maybe the market front ran it at the end of August. And you know what? I don't think that is the worst thesis in the world. So we'll see what happens. I'm going to be really cautious next week around the lunar eclipse. I'm going to be really cautious around the 17th with the rate cuts. But I am cautiously optimistic about where things are headed. I do like on the daily, Bitcoin has crossed the upside, which is a really good sign. By the way, silver just absolutely breaking out. Bitcoin dominance continuing to fall. Lower lows, lower highs, still in the absolute most bearish posture in a full-on bear market, as we can see, crossed to the 200 is now firmly on top. The 100 is firmly below that. The 50 is firmly below that. And then the 20, which is what we would classify as a bear market. Now, what does it mean when Bitcoin dominance is in a bear market? You tell me. It's very good things for altcoins. We're starting to see some of the others start to heat up. I'm encouraged with the way that others held through this little pullback that we had. Total 2 held through the pullback. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum put in a higher low with this pullback, right? And, people will freak out and But what about the 7-minute chart ski? On the 7-minute chart ski, we put in a lower low. And it's just like, calm down, guys. Literally in the end of June / beginning of July, Ethereum was at 2,100. So I just can't freak out about any of this. Like being above 4,200, pulling back to that. Like, come on, guys. Let's have a little bit of perspective here. We're already back at 4,500. And we held this as a higher low, even in the micro over here. Like we didn't even pull back lower than over here, which was just 4,000. So this was just a higher low for Ethereum. Really good sign. The daily RSI is crossing to the upside, perhaps tomorrow. Looking really, really good. And I anticipate a plunge. We already made an all-time high quietly this year. Now, it wasn't a firm breakout like we've talked about, right? So there's a difference between touching the all-time high, wicking above it like we did, and then breaking fully into another leg. Like those are differences, and you have to, view that with discretion. It's not the same thing as when you wick above slightly, making an all-time high versus actually fully getting into price discovery. Those are different things. So I think that Ethereum is actually poised, though, to do that. And it could be very quick. Like, this move right here, after we had a dip, this was quick, right? We might think that, there's 2 weeks between now and the rate cuts. Well, how long was this? This was 38% in 10 days. You know what I mean? Like 2 weeks in crypto is an eternity. A lot can happen in 2 weeks. So, for the same perspective, and I'm pulling from the bottom here, another 38% in 2 weeks. What does that put us at? That puts us at $6,000. Let me know in the chat if you're happy with the $6,000 Ethereum. By the way, that is, that would be a full leg higher. Are you keeping any of your XRP for long term? I am. I plan to hold at least 10% forever. Right now, I still own about 60% of my XRP. I plan to de-risk. At least I would like to de-risk about 80% of that. But I do plan to keep 10% forever. All right. So let me look at others, and then we'll get into you guys' questions, comments, concerns. I'm not feeling too well. I'm going to try to give you my best energy tonight. I'm feeling a little under the weather. My kids were sick, and I think they got me sick. So I've been taking my elderberries, but not feeling. I don't feel like fully sick, but I just feel lethargic, if that makes sense. Okay, so others, again, we've been holding this uptrend here, higher highs, higher lows the entire time. Beautiful looking structure. I'm across the upside on the daily. Again, I still think, good chance that we test the top of the range here. That's still what I think. Now, whether is it going to be before the rate cuts, we'll see. Listen, I have an open mind to that. In reality, guys, like there's going to be volatility, right? And I think that there's going to be lots of flag plantings. And I'm telling you right now, so the rate cuts are the 17th, right? On the 13th, all the way through, let's call it the 25th, I will not be planting any flags. Okay, if you want me to, like, plant my flag of, like, Nana Boo Boo or I was dead wrong, I will not be doing that until we get out of that window of time, because I understand how the market maker operates. And in reality, I'm telling you right now, September 3rd, 2025, there are going to be moves upside, there are going to be moves downside, and there will be bulls that are waving their flags when the time comes, and there's going to be bears that are going to be waving their flags. I am not going to do either until we get out of this transitional month. And that's what I think that September is, in fact, is going to be a transitional month. Now, we know history tells us, and I've talked about this a lot, and I think I've talked about it enough. One caveat that I would like to throw out is actually, so this is the average return for Bitcoin in September. 10 years of data. Caveat though, is this gospel? Is this the 10 commandments? No, it's not. In fact, the last 2 Septembers were green for Bitcoin. All right, so this isn't the 10 commandments. This isn't go get a tattoo. September's red. None of that stuff. So I'm just showing you the guidelines, right? It's just a guide. However, I will say, just intuitively, I am seeing a lot of people predicting that. Maybe from me as well. So we'll see. The market makers like to do exactly what is least expected. So I'm going to have an open mind going into this month. And what I actually think, in the grand scheme of things, it's going to be a pivot transitional month. That's what I think. You know, when we zoom out enough, and I've compared it to August of 2020 / September of 2020, I think it's very similar, actually. So, you know, when we show this structure right here, from this is the C19 crash to August pump, and then you had a September correction. Actually was a little bit before then. I think this is really similar structure here, and I'm going to show it here. And that's the last thing that I'm going to show, and then we're going to get into your guys' questions, comments, concerns. Why did it just do that? Okay, so on the top is the C19 correction through the August pump. And what we're going to show here is we're going to show a lot of the same here. Let me get rid of some of these Fibonacci's. Let's clean this chart up a little bit here. Let's just make it nice and clean for you guys. All right, so on the top is Bitcoin from the C19 correction through October of 20. Okay, let's delete some of this stuff. Let's make it a nice clean chart. Clean is good. Okay, now I would classify both of these big violent corrections. The reason that I'm showing these, I would classify them both as springs in Wyckoff. Okay, so this obviously was a black swan spring, excuse me. You could perhaps classify the tariffs as a black swan swing. It wasn't as violent for sure, right? Not nearly as violent, but this was a spring in Wyckoff, the same. Okay, so not nearly as violent as the C19 correction, obviously. But we're just going to line it up like this and show the structure. I'm not really concerned as much about, you know, the actual prices or anything like that. So on the top, we have Bitcoin from March of 20 through October of 20. On the bottom is April of 25 through present day. And this is what you have, a pretty big, you know, stark correction. This was a 60% correction for Bitcoin on the top. On the bottom, it was actually a 33% correction. Again, you have to use discretion, knowing that as Bitcoin goes on, the downside is going to be less, the upside is going to be less as well, diminishing returns. But structurally, this was both a spring and Wyckoff for both of these. Then you just kind of have a nice little run up into October here. You have these little twin tower candles over here in August. And then you have a 3-week correction followed by a pivot, right? So this was a 20% correction into the beginning of September. And this, again, diminishing returns here. You had your little twin tower peak candles here. It wasn't quite a 20% correction. This was a 13% correction. But again, 20 days before you pivot out of here. And it wasn't up only. But you did start putting in higher highs and higher lows. I believe it was October. The October full moon, yes. From that point on, it was pretty much just literally up only. Now, I don't necessarily think that Bitcoin is going to do that. I do think that Bitcoin will make another leg higher. But I think that we have started the pivot. And I think that September, just like here, September was a transition month here. That's what I think is going to happen here. And then October, November, historically speaking, are the two of the three most bullish times for cryptocurrency. Specifically, I think it is the altcoins turn. And I think that that's pretty evident with some of the coins that have been going, pretty rampant. Okay. With that, let's get into your guys' questions, comments, concerns. Low caps look good. Mav, Flux, Rose, DAG, some of the easiest money I made. Yeah, I think that they all look really good. I'd like to know what's actually like to look at my bags and say, wow, what a ride. 8:30 on the clock. I just looked at my portfolio and absolutely ripping Mav, one of the best low cap breakouts. Evening all. Buying or morning evening ski. What is up? What's up, bro? Next bear market. How low do you think Bitcoin will go? I have 4 targets right now. And the first part of the question, so the question is, how low do I think that Bitcoin will go in the actual bear market? The answer to that question is, I have to ask a question, like how high does Bitcoin actually go? Because the answer is going to be different, right? But I have 4 targets with different assumptions on how high it's going to go. And I'll give you these targets, okay? Assumption number 1, to me, is the most parabolic likely case, that Bitcoin goes to $207,000. That is my parabolic case. That's been my number, by the way, since Bitcoin was at 16K. Okay? In this scenario, I think Bitcoin comes back to $118,000, reaccumulates. So that's target number 1. Target number 2, 138, 150, whatever. I think Bitcoin comes back to $100,000. A really shockingly bearish 138. I think Bitcoin could come back to $70,000. And the absolute best case, if we're lucky, highly favored, and blessed that we will ever see again, in my opinion, is $50,000. Now, what do I think is the highest probability? I think is 70K. But if Bitcoin goes to 207, I don't think that there's a good chance at all that we break through all the support, especially if we hold it again. If we hold this support here and we make another leg higher, this becomes even stronger. Right? So like the fact of a 110 becomes a lot of support here. And in fact, we're finding a little bit of support off of it now. So, for me, the highest probability bear market of 2026, 2027 is 100K. Somewhere in there. 100K, 70K, 118. Those to me are like high, medium, low, where I'll be taking stabs. All right. What up, bro? Quick question for you. When alts finally start running, how long would it take Solnic? Not long. Solnic has been accumulating for a while. There was just a post from this time a year ago. Solnic went on a 1,200% move from September 15th through December 15th. Like it's boring, and then it is not. All right, let's look at some of the TikTok comments. Make sure you guys are spamming that like button, hitting that share, so other people can spam the like button and hit the share. Sorry for my lack of energy here. I'm not feeling too great tonight. Are we waiting for the sign of strength in ICP? I think we've already gotten the sign of strength actually in ICP. We're on the back test. You think 46% on Bitcoin dominance is as the bottom? That's possible. I have a 48% target, but that's within striking distance. Is Chrono a good buy now? I had a, I think I had a limit at 24. I don't know if that got hit or not. Top value plays: Solnic, HNT, ICP, Dent, VChain, Naka, IOTA, Flux, Theta, Krill, Suki, Raven, Dynex, Dot, LCX, Sauce, Hehe, Crow, Phantom 1, ADA, Link, Fat Cat, AR. My long would be very happy with 5K ETH. Is your 6K prediction for the next 2 weeks though? John, not necessarily. I'm just saying like it could happen quickly. Like we always think in our brain that there's this smooth transition from scary and boring to like awesomeness, and that is not real, right? So one thing I wish you would, I have like 17 one things that I want you to learn from me. And here's one of the 17. If you could just learn one thing from me, know this. That's partly a joke, right? Just know this. There is not a smooth transition from boring or scary into rocket ships. Like in our brains, logically, practically, we think that there's a smooth transition. We're going to go to scary, and then we're going to chop for a little bit, and then we're all going to agree, okay, the boring's over. Great. High fives? Are we ready? Great. That doesn't take place. Okay? It does not take place. Still feeling good about Rose? I am feeling good about Rose. Yeah, this is, looking really good, honestly. Chris says, problem is there's absolutely zero interest from retail this go around. Nobody talks about crypto. Great, Chris. Great. Great. Again, verily, verily, I say unto you. Verily, verily, I say unto you. Here is literally the most important thing that you can learn from me. When retail cares about crypto, it is time to sell crypto. Verily, verily, I say unto you, thou shalt sell crypto once thou neighbor cares about crypto. Do you understand? When retail cares about crypto, it is time to sell crypto. Not before. Verily, verily, I say unto you, retail has never led any asset. Never. Verily, verily, I say unto you, retail will never lead any asset. Do you understand? The top 1% owns 90% of the wealth. Do you understand? The top 10% owns 99% of the wealth. So when you say retail, what you're saying is I'm waiting for that last 1% move to 10% move. No, thank you. Not I. 10% is for exit liquidity. Not I. I do not care about the last 10%. What is a 10% to a 10x? What is a king to a god? What is a 5% to a 5x? I do not care. Respectfully, I disagree. I don't care if you disagree. I've been in this game a decade. I have never seen retail be right ever. Ever. Lowest case for VChain, 15 cents. Bear market lows. $1 or $2. What other creators do you recommend watching for their signals? Chris, there is no second best. No. I respect a couple other people. I respect a lot of creators, but as far as like TA goes, BCB to me is the GOAT of Elliott Waves. If you do not like the medicine that I just gave you, put some sugar on it. But that will heal you. Stop screaming. No. Next time. Listen, I promise you on everything, bro. On my mama, on my hood, on everything, bro. When retail cares about crypto, I am out. If you want to be a bag holder, wait for retail. If you want to FOMO without a plan, wait for retail. That's what you're going to get. You're going to abandon all ships. You're going to abandon all fundamentals. You're going to FOMO into the next shiny thing. And if that's your strategy, you want to figure out how you can lose as much money as possible, as quickly as possible, that's a great strategy. If you want to have realized gains, don't care an ounce about retail. Retail doesn't have money like that, bro. Literally, mathematically, the top 1% owns 90% of all the wealth. Of all the money that exists is owned by the top 1%. 90%. I don't care about the last 10%. Why am I? Do you think that I am like... Okay, let's say it like this. Why do I have the track record that I do? How have I been able to call so many bottoms with video evidence? Is it because I am this amazing specimen? No. It's because I don't pay attention to retail. Because you're a savage. Because you get lucky. I exchanged Sol to Solnick when Sol was 178. Solnick was. Was that the right decision? I think so, brother. Ski's the only crypto creator who has video evidence on his mama. Your seat might have an indent. Yeah. Still feel good about AVAX. AVAX is solid. What kind of backtest do we expect at what levels? Tom, okay, so the question from Tom is, once Ethereum starts moving, what backtest could we expect? The next major move for Ethereum is a breakout. So the next backtest would be of the all-time high. Hopefully that makes sense. How am I feeling about ICP right now? Great. Fantastic. Every crypto person mutes me. I have not muted anybody. The only time I mute people is if they just spam nonsense. Like, you gotta be doing something pretty egregious to get muted by me. It's like the cops in Tennessee. I grew up in Ohio all my life. Most of my life. I also lived in Florida. The cops in Ohio will, like, they're trying to get you, bro. At least where I'm from. Like, they're everywhere. they will pull you over right now for like tinted windows. The cops in Tennessee are not like that. You got to be doing something crazy. Like, you got to be going 100 miles an hour to get pulled over. That's me. Like, I'm the Tennessee cops. Literally, I was in the Army. I would be in Tennessee for like 8 years. Never get pulled over. I would drive home for a weekend and get pulled over in Ohio. I once got pulled over because I bought my truck from my grandma after my grandpa passed away, and he had glaucoma, and so the windows were tinted, and he pulls me over, and he says, "I pulled you over because your windows were tinted," and he's like, what did he say? He said, it's not really me. I'm like, well, then who is it, bro? It ain't me. It's just me and you here. Just give me the ticket. Don't try to good cop, bad cop me. Just give me the ticket, bro. Don't give me this, it ain't me. It's just me and you here. It certainly isn't me. Anyways, I digress. I digress. Realistic 5x for AVAX, maybe 3 to 5x. Well, tell me this. I really want Sonic's next target to be 2 to 3. 2 to 3 will get there. One leg at a time. I don't know if it's going to be the next leg. If you were to bet September green or red. Okay, listen, I don't want to be this way. Listen, this is a cop-out answer. If you give me October, if you give me November, I'm betting green. I'm going to be honest. This is a cop-out answer. This is a push. This is a stay-away game, right? If you do, like, sports betting, this is the Browns versus the Bengals. If you're not a Browns fan and you're not a Bengals fan, don't bet this game. That's what red or green September is. It's a stay-away game. It's a stay-away bet. What up, brother? That's what I'm saying. What's your price targets for this cycle? My price targets are still the same. He's asking me for the next particular leg. I think there's going to be multiple legs in this cycle. 10 cents, $1, $5.89. I feel like September will be a yo-yo. I agree. I think there's going to be upside, there's going to be downside. It's going to be a transition month, in my opinion. Just like it was back in 2020. It was pretty sideways, slightly up, but it transitioned us into the bull market. Why no response to my response? Because I don't care. I don't care if you got blocked on another channel. I already told you my opinion. Does Sol have less life than Sonic? Yeah, 100%. I like Solana, but maybe it goes to 500. Maybe. Go pack, go. Says you really are a savage. It says I lost everything due to a drain on my wallet. How can I get it back? Unfortunately, brother, not really a way. Unless they like off ramp it onto like crypto exchanges, you could track that if it's going to an exchange, and that exchange is KYC through like the United States. You might be able to take a legal course, but you know, it's important to take proper precautions. Why no response to all of my response to your response of my response? Any thoughts on VeChain? VeChain is my top blue chip play right now. How wide do you think Sonic hits 20 cents? What do you mean by that? What are you asking me? All right, guys. Top blue chip is Teo, Link, SEI. I like Link. Link's already done a little bit more than VeChain, though. Teo, not enough data, chart data to really give it a good projection. SEI is not bad. All right, guys. Listen, I'm not feeling great today. Sorry for the quick live. But I just want to come on here and give you guys the news and analysis. I'm going to get some rest. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you guys like. I think I lost YouTube. Am I live on YouTube? No, we're good. But that's going to be it for this time, guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I will never message you first. By the way, I have started doing this as well. Due to like so many scammer accounts, for those of you that want to book a consultation with me, I have no issue hopping on like a 2-minute Google call or a Telegram video call or whatever to verify I'm the real ski. So if you guys want to book a call and you're like worried it's the right ski or not, I'm happy to hop on a video call and verify my identity for you guys. All right. So if you want to set up a consultation, that is something that I offer. So hit me in the DMs for that. But that is going to be it for this time. Peace, love, prosperity.